Anybody who's doing our training in the space of Lean and Six Sigma, whether it be green belt or black belt, knows that in order to get sign-off, you've got to lodge evidence of competency. And predominantly we do that through certification assignments or competency assignments. One of the ones that underpins a lot of the work, particularly in the space of Six Sigma, is the ability to collect data and assemble a data collection plan as a foundation to that collection. Now, there's some confusion with this, particularly in what the primary metric or the why is when you're collecting data. And I'll explain it this way. So my goal in this video is to settle that confusion and kind of guide people down the pathway of how you would assemble a data collection plan by understanding what the why, the real why or the measure is. If you look at the screen up here, we've got a data collection here that represents what you would go and collect when you think about y being a function of variables, which we would refer to as x's. And it's laid out in such a way that when you collect it, you have a data point for every sample that you do, or every item that is sampled. And because there's a data point across every different variable here for each item that you sample, it makes it easy to do the analysis. We can establish the relationship between, in this particular case, the weight of a product delivered and its relationship with the type of metal that it is, whether it's alloy steel or iron or something. We could establish the relationship between the weight delivered and the length of the part. You know, does the shorter ones affect that more so than the longer ones? Who supplies it? Who delivers it? Maybe there's some mix-ups in the delivery. Where it was delivered to? Was it a rural plant or the city plant? Who did the quality assurance? You know, who actually weighed the part? And what was the expected weight of that particular part? And we could look at the relationship here because for each item that we sample, we've actually got a data point for every variable there. So that is your data collection, and the primary metric here would be weight delivered in our data collection planning. Now, this is where the confusion arises. So what I've got here is the information on the left-hand side that represents the data that you would collect. The variables, you know, that being the y and all these being the x's, that would go into your data collection plan. We could then do something with those variables. So, for example, we could say, listen, let's look at the weight delivered. Let's compare that to what it was supposed to be or what the contracted weight was. And then we would establish, through putting a formula in here, a variance between the actual and what it should be. So in this case, it's minus 1.61 grams or something. Then we could turn that into an absolute variance. And then we could say, okay, if we expect the parts to be between plus and minus 2 grams, then we could work out what is a good product and what is a bad product. So if the variance, the absolute variance, is more than 2 grams, it would be a defect, which is what you see down here. And if it's less than 2 grams of what we would expect, then that would be an underweight type of defect. So you can see here in column M, we've got good product, defect, kind of listed as you go down here. And this is where the confusion arises, because often someone doing this type of training is given the objective of reducing the defect rate, so or increasing the survival rate or something, or whatever the variable may be that is an end result calculation that you do. So in here, quality status, by getting the good product and the defects and then doing some sort of proportionate calculation, we could work out exactly what the end result is. What is the defect rate here, or what is the defect-free rate, depending on which angle you want to look at this. And that is one data point from this overall data collection plan. That is not your why, right? It can't be in your collection of data and the way that you would assemble a data collection plan. That is your objective. Your objective is to reduce the defect rate or increase the defect-free rate, and that variable is calculated at the end of you collecting something. Now, in order to get that variable, I always ask people, I go, well, what have you got to go and measure? Well, you've got to go and measure the weight delivered. That is your primary metric in your data collection plan. That is the Y, and these are the X's. That is not your Y. That is your project objective. Where we come unstuck is where people put a data collection plan together, and in the Y area of the data collection plan, they write in there defect rate, right? And then they explain how they're going to collect that and all that sort of thing. And I get that, right? It makes a lot of sense. that we would try to ascertain, is the transport company who deliver it have an effect on the defect rate? Well, we only work that out, right, by having this data in the first place. So your data collection plan is built around the X's and the Y. The analysis that you do may lead into you targeting the objective that you're trying to fix. In this case, might be defect rate or something. But I just want to highlight this important point. That is the Y that you put in your data collection plan, and these are the X's. You don't put defect rate or average mean time between failures or something, whatever the consolidated value is, because that is one value that you get from a calculation of all the data. Trying to establish a relationship between these X's and one output variable is going to be quite difficult to do, particularly challenging in trying to show that you understand the relationship between these analyses and the various statistical tool options that you've got. So there you go. Let me just reinforce. Your Y would be weight delivered, the X's would be these, and it's very easy to work out which statistical tool establishes the relationship between the weight and who inspected it, or the variance and who inspected it, those types of things. So hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about this particular topic, then feel free to let us know. I'd love to help clear up any misunderstandings or confusion that's been caused there. So there you go. See you in another video. Bye.